Welcome to Unlearn the Crap TV with your host, Kathy Baldwin. Unlearn the Crap TV is more than just a show. It's a movement towards breaking free from the disempowering structures designed to benefit the few at the expense of the many. It's about education, healing, and unlearning the detrimental beliefs that have been ingrained in society for generations. So now, please welcome the host of Unlearn the Crap TV, Kathy Baldwin.
Karen, I am so happy and honored to have you here. You and I have met during a time where we are connected to the same event, where we are bringing women together under the Women Thrive Summit, and we are helping as many people as possible, especially women, unlearn the disempowering crap that's in their way. As you know, Unlearn the Crap is about the conditioned responses and automatic programming that are in our way. I look at it as the visual of the road that is impeded when a landslide happens. And all of that boulder and all of that mud and everything is in the way. The road underneath is perfectly aligned, and it has a purpose and it has a mission. But it's that crap that gets in our way that we need to remove so that we can continue on our journey. So Karen, what crap did you need to unlearn so that you could level up?
Oh, such a great question. The crap that I had to unlearn is that we have to be perfect, that we can't make mistakes. And if we do, you carry that mistake with you from that day forward. It shall weigh you down for the rest of your life. Because of a mistake, a failure, then from that point forward, you're not worthy of playing big. You're not worthy of doing amazing things. So I had to unlearn that we don't have to be perfect. I had to unlearn that. Yes, I had to unlearn that we had to be perfect.
I know there's a big story behind there. But first, before we go into unpacking all of that, Karen, who are you and how are you leveling up and serving the world?
Okay, so my name is Karen Sarmento. I'm a nurse practitioner by trade and now a success strategist for women. And my life took some unexpected turns. And as we're talking about unlearning the crap, as I learned as my life went on, I faced a series of challenges. Most impactful being when my son's father passed unexpectedly in an accident. And moving forward, I just was in a very dark place. And because of thinking I still needed to look like I was holding it together, I was drinking and I wasn't reaching out, and I was trying to pretend everything was fine when it wasn't. And because of all of that, I was holding on to shame, guilt, and trying to be a parent. I wasn't showing up in that area the way I needed to. And the whole picture that I was trying to maintain just snowballed. So therefore, I just was playing small, felt shame, guilt, embarrassment, all kinds of things. And then that too just snowballed. So although on the outside, I was a nurse practitioner working at the hospital, seems like everything's okay. It wasn't at all. And although I thought I was holding it together, really, I wasn't. Everybody knew too. But everybody dances around it and kind of tiptoes around it because it's kind of the unspoken truth of what's happening, because we've got to make sure it looks right.
Yeah.
So. And any event go right ahead.
I was going to say, can I clarify the way you phrase something?
Yes.
You said your son's father, but this man was also your husband and your partner. Am I correct?
Correct.
So even in that moment, it sounds like you were minimizing the effect that it had on you and only giving the depth of that horrific loss only to your son. But you experienced a huge loss.
Yeah. It's interesting when you go into that state of loss because my son being so young, that was the primary concern. But yet, even though he's my why and he's my favorite person in the whole world, um, he needed me to show up and I couldn't.
How couldn't you show up? How did it show up in your life? I know you listed off a bunch of things, but what was your daily life like?
My daily life, that's a great way to put it, because it was very mechanical. You could check off the tasks, get up, make the lunch, get him to school, I go to work. You could check off all those things, but I wasn't present. Drinking in the evening, which led to not feeling great in the morning, and just the cycle of that spiraling, feeling depressed, feeling anxious, always worried, always feeling like I wasn't doing what I needed to do. Yet I was doing the best I could at the time, but never feeling like I was present, or just felt like a dark time.
Yeah. And we go through natural grief and natural loss, and there is that whole grief process. But what you're describing sounds to me like it was that you didn't have the healthy coping strategies to go through that grief process. And so it became dysfunctional for you. Am I correct?
100% correct. Yeah, it didn't feel like a process. It felt like just an existence and just a state of being, not really experiencing any emotions, not having that big, hard cry that I can have now. Even to this day, certain things I'll think about, and I can have a good cry and then move on. Like I'll feel the emotion or whatever it is, experience it, then move on. But it was like never quite experiencing the magnitude of anything that was going on, and just going day to day, day to day, day. Mechanical, the Groundhog Day, the hamster wheel.
Yeah. Yeah. I was raised with the what happens behind closed doors stays behind closed doors.
Oof.
And so I did not know. I learned a mask. I learned how to show up in the world. You open you're in a chaos with the door closed. As soon as the door opens, hello. And, and that was part of my dysfunction that I needed to unlearn. That it was okay to show up vulnerably. It was okay to
Mm.
say, I'm not doing good today, or to admit that I failed, or I made a mistake, or I'm not strong today. Being able to say, no, I don't have my crap together today. Were you raised in an environment that taught you the range of emotions so that you could have those coping skills when that unexpected happened? How were you raised? What was your environment?
Yeah, it's so interesting because I have such a great recollection of my childhood. It was very happy. It was very pleasant. There was, I had a mom and a dad. They were married forever, 50 plus years, until my dad passed. I miss them every day. So amazing parents. But somewhere along the way, I learned to be a people pleaser. And I don't know where it came from, but as you were just talking about needing to come in and say, hello, even if things were like everything was just going down the tubes, you still had to put a smile on. I remember in 6th grade, I was in gym class. I was sick and I knew I was going to throw up, and I was still smiling. I went over to the gym teacher. I said, I'm so sick right now. I think I'm going to throw up. But I was smiling as big as can be. And I remember as clear as day, she said, you don't look like you're sick. That's quite a smile on your face right now. And I threw up all over the place. So I don't know why I felt the need to pretend like I wasn't sick. Here I am. I'm still happy. I'm really sick right now. I'm going to throw up, but I'm still smiling, and all's not well, but all's well. Don't worry about it. But I did that all my life. Things had to be okay. I'd had to be smiling, and people would say that all the time. At work, they'd call me Mary Poppins. Oh, everything's okay in Mary Poppins world. And even if I wasn't, I'd still be smiling. And it just never felt like, oh, being a downer, or, oh, I don't want to be the downer in the room. But as you said, what I wouldn't give to be able to teach other women that it's okay to come in and say, oh, I'm having a really hard time right now. Oof, I don't feel good, or gosh, I really messed up. I'm trying to move through it and move forward. I think that's so powerful. And what you're doing here is amazing.
Well, I believe that that is part of the societal crap that we've been taught. I mean, everything from Cosmo magazines with the quizzes that said how to show up perfect, to be, the perfect employee, the perfect lover, the perfect mother, the perfect everything. And we quizzed ourselves to see just how much we weren't perfect. And every month I got that Cosmo magazine, and took that quiz. Well, am I good today? Did I measure
Mhm.
up today? And so there were so many societal things that came at us that we don't know necessarily where that crap came from. We don't know, but let me ask you, in sixth grade, did you know that you were slapping on a mask and a happy face? Did you feel that um, disconnect from yourself, that misalignment with your soul?
Gosh, I don't even recall that I did. I don't even recall that I did. I think it's just how I showed up all the time, no matter what was going on. Huh. Yeah, because looking back, I can remember that I felt very sick, but my my appearance didn't match what I was feeling.
Yeah. And so you have this awareness now. One of the things that I talk about in Unlearn the Crap is that our brains are wired to be right, and that it does not matter what is happening. Our brains will filter it through the lens of I need to be right.
Mm,
And so it will take these experiences and go check, 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 check. Where did the awareness come to you that you were living with this Mary Poppins, hiding from the world anything that was deemed unpretty, ladylike, or real, or authentic?
mhm.
Where did the awakening come for you?
The awakening came after Spencer's father passed, and I was drinking excessively. And then, even then, I kind of thought I was fooling everybody. And until my whole family, both sides, my in laws, my family, all got together and had an intervention to let me know that, hey, you've got a serious problem. And that's when I felt like I had no choice but to acknowledge I wasn't showing up as myself. And then I started doing the work on myself, where I realized I'd just been hiding who I was, hiding what I really wanted to do, hiding my opinions, just agreeing, just smiling, and just being fake happy all the time. And it wasn't till I had clearly hit rock bottom and still wasn't allowing myself to acknowledge I was not in a good place. Could not ask for help, not because people weren't there and wouldn't have helped, because they were probably clamoring to help. But for whatever reason, did I not feel worthy of the help? Was I embarrassed? Probably a little bit of everything. But finally, with a little work on myself, I realized I was worthy of so much more, capable of more, and meant for more. And yeah, I was just playing the part of somebody small, and I felt weak and ashamed of my behavior, which made me feel even more ashamed and small. So it just kind of snowballs, and until you really get a grip, you realize, wait a minute, that's not who I am. That's not me. But I let it define me for so long. Especially if it's a dark place. I think when women make a mistake or have something in their past that they're either not proud of, or a mistake, a failure, whatever it is, they let it define them from that point on and never allow themselves forgiveness, grace, or a new beginning. And rather than seeing those challenges as launching pads for something amazing, I mean, the bigger the fall, the greater the comeback is how I see it now. But I didn't see it that way. I saw the greater the fall, the smaller you stay.
Yeah. Karen, you just described something so incredibly traumatic. Can you take us back to the moment that your family staged an intervention? What was that like for you? As somebody who was living with those masks, I can only imagine how traumatic and painful that must have been.
Yeah. Part of me almost feels like it was a relief, because I knew there was no choice there, that something had to change at that point. And it came from such a place of love. Both sides of the family, who I knew all the people that were there loved me and cared about me. So there wasn't any malicious intent, or there was only good intentions surrounding it. So literally, the next day, I believe it was, I was on a plane to Arizona. I went away for a month, and I really just focused on me and getting my head above water. And that began this journey. So yeah, it wasn't traumatic. It really, maybe at the time it felt, like, here we go. Now I came home from work. I could walk you through this. I came home from work, regular day, and everybody was at my house. That wasn't part of a regular day. So, and my son wasn't. He had been, he was taken with his uncle to go be scarce for a little while so they could do this. And they had hired somebody to make it very organized, and everybody could share how my behaviors were impacting everybody's life and what they were observing. So it was very surreal and very, very impactful.
Wow. For me, I hit my rock bottom when I lost everything and everybody. And I was left with nothing, and I was totally alone. And when I looked around my world, I realized that everything that I had been afraid of losing, I had lost.
Mm.
And the reality came, I'm still alive. And that's where I found myself. I don't recommend losing everything and everybody in order to have a break through. I don't and recommend that anyone have a breakdown.
Mm-hmm.
But we all have these pivotal moments. And what you just described, as traumatic and as scary as it could be, you just showed the beauty of being loved and supported and nurtured in your darkest moments.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can remember trying to weasel my way out of it. I remember saying, all right, yeah, I hear everything everyone's saying. I appreciate it. I'll look into some things to do to get back on track. And they were like, nope, nope. We have other plans. We'd like to see you on a plane tomorrow. We've already looked into it. And it's like, wow, okay, I see where this is going. Okay. Like a little defensive, but yeah, I went with it.
How
Yeah.
do you feel about those people that
Oh,
invest such, because they had to be terrified that this could go very badly for them and for you?
right. Yeah, I think everybody loves my son so much and loved me too. But I think we all saw this little boy who needed his mom to be solid. And I think that was the common ground that nobody could argue with, myself included. And they had to have, because I guess it would have been very easy, and people do it all the time. We kind of look the other way and pretend it's not happening. And everybody could have done that. Right. But they didn't. Thank God. So, no, I love these people. Yeah, I do. I'm forever thankful for that. Even the gentleman that held the intervention, I still keep in touch with him, actually. He'll always say, "You're
Wow.
like a miracle." Like, I feel like a miracle.
Wow.
But
Wow.
that's what's possible for people when they allow themselves grace to have made a mistake, to not be perfect, to, as you say, unlearn the crap. When you allow yourself to do that, my gosh, opens so many doors.
Yeah. One of my greatest regrets is that the people that I loved, that I saw in self-destruction, or being afraid to disrupt the apple cart and call people on bad behavior, is part of why I lost everything and everybody.
Mm.
And so one of my biggest regrets is that I did not say, this is how you're affecting me. And I often go back in time and wonder, what if I wasn't afraid to lose this person? What if I wasn't afraid of hurting them with the truth? What if I was strong enough in my own ability to say, you are self-destructing, you are hurting those you love, you are breaking, um, you're breaking commitments and relationships. And that is something I carry with me, because there's so many people that I've lost to their own self-destruction, or
Mhm.
just the breakdown of me being not authentic enough to call crap in its face.
What do you think you were feeling at that time that you couldn't express that?
Thank you for asking me that. That's an important question. I recently heard someone say that when we go into people pleasing, we go into self-sacrificing, or we're overly empathetic, what we're doing is we're taking people's burdens and we're saying, here, I'll carry that.
Mm.
And so I was the carrier of people's secrets. I was the carrier of their addictions. I was the carrier of their destroying relationships. and I carried everybody's crap. And nobody called me on it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was actually there was one situation where I was, I'll call it a sexual attack by a family member. And when I told my family that this had happened, they said, well, you didn't speak up right away, so now you need to stay silent to protect the family unit.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the stuff, that's the crap that we were taught that put on a happy face. And so this person who had abused me, I had to show up in all these family situations and smile and pretend everything was wonderful and let them carry on.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? This is not my conversation, and this is about you, but because we've come here and you've asked me this question, I think it's really important to know that one of the things that I think we do that is the most destructive to ourselves is we betray ourselves by carrying everybody and everything.
Mm-hmm.
How did your inability to grieve the loss of your husband, your partner, your lover, the father of your child, how did you putting on that happy face betray you?
Yeah, I don't think I even felt worthy of a moment of being down or just not showing up, or maybe I just didn't feel strong enough to show up not in a great mood, or I've always been that person that was in a great mood, so don't want to let anybody down. I always it was something I've really had to work on. I think it was more, yeah, not wanting to let others down, not ever wanting to be a burden with my troubles.
Yeah. That's a universal truth that I know every woman who is watching this feels that. That's part of the crap that we were taught, you know? Suck it
Mm,
up, buttercup. Put on your
yeah,
big girl panties.
yeah, exactly. Stop crying. I'll give you something to cry about. you, we weren't. It was, yeah. You wouldn't cry and call all kinds of attention to yourself.
Absolutely. Karen, I'm looking at your website,
Mm,
and there are a couple of questions on here that I know you could only ask these questions if you had done the self reflection yourself. And I think these questions are so beautifully profound that if you don't mind, I'd like to ask them of you.
okay. Yeah, let's do it.
Where did you feel you were being selfish?
Yeah. Selfish for wanting to do anything but worry about other people. It felt selfish to take care of myself. It felt selfish to rest if I needed to rest. Um, it felt selfish to do anything outside of being a mother, even if it, tended to my needs. I now know self-care is so important, but at the time that felt selfish.
How did that selfishness feeling manifest in your life? What did you do?
So I didn't do it. So I didn't do the care for myself because it just felt like that would be selfish. So that's why the self-care never happened. So that's why I was unwell. I never spoke up. I never said what I needed. I never um, rested if I needed to rest, cry if I needed to cry, even just go for a massage, something I would do now if I needed to take some me time. I never would have done that before. It would have felt selfish. So therefore I didn't do it.
Okay, so I really want to hone in on this
Yeah.
because you now, as a coach and a mentor and a healer. And I'm in the same place. One of the things that I hear so often from people who come to me is, I need to put my family first. I need to put my children first. I need to do this first. I can't take this investment in myself. But yet, this is part of the crap that I believe we need to address, because we used to come from a place of community. We used to come from a place of, and I'm not talking about going back in time and undoing women's rights or anything, but when we go back 200 or 300 years ago, women would sit in community and support each other. You would have like these sewing circles or whatever, but it was women there supporting, nurturing, mentoring, and guiding each other. And we have broken that bond of woman to woman, where we've left so many of ourselves disconnected from the power and community of women. And so when we're out there alone and we're taught this crap that we need to self-sacrifice, we need to even endanger our own well-being, our own selves, because there are other people that exist in our lives. We have children, we have husbands and parents, and we have jobs and community and all of these things and people that are counting on us. And if we look at ourselves and say, I'm not doing so well, I need help right now, that has been deemed as selfishness. What do you say to those women to help them understand that if we aren't taking care of ourselves first, then we are being irresponsible and we are putting the burden of our care on somebody else?
Absolutely. Because when we don't take care of ourselves, we're not showing up as the greatest version of ourselves for the people that we claim to want to show up for. And we claim that I'm not going to go do that because family first. But I've found when I started taking care of myself, when I started to matter and I got a little more, my confidence was better. I started allowing self-care into my life and I started to show up stronger. I saw in my relationships with my family, I saw that I showed up differently. I showed up stronger and confident and more impactful in my son's life, because that was the example I wanted to send by doing everything and not taking care of myself. That was a terrible example. So now he sees that I take care of myself. I'm looking confident. I feel good. And he sees me pursuing my passions, my dreams, going for it, not playing small. So when you actually take care of yourself and allow that, you set that example for the family. You really start breaking the generational chains or the generational expectations of how, as women, we're supposed to show up. It was that being selfless meant, being a mother or a woman, you put everybody else first. And it doesn't have to be. They can still matter, and they do, but you matter too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I've named my company Forex Win, which is based on my Forex philosophy that the very first win has to be for ourselves, because we have been taught that everyone comes first. And I remember saying so many times, when is it my turn? When do I get on the list? And I realized that nobody was ever going to put me first. Nobody was ever going to put me on the list if I didn't do it myself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, everything is a reflection of how we see ourselves, how we treat ourselves, and the way you see yourself is how the outside world will see you. So if we see ourselves as small and invisible That's how the world sees us.
I love that. What you just said is a beautiful example of the universal laws that I like to talk about, which that very
I love
statement was a perfect example of the law of correspondence.
it.
And that what is happening within is what we experience without. And so when we're looking outside and we're saying, why don't I have the life of my dreams? Why aren't I having this? Or all these other people get that, but not me. When we realize we can't fix the outside until we go inward, I truly believe that we are being called forward right here, right now, to level up and be the best versions of ourselves so that we can bring these gifts of our passions, our joys, our who we are to the world.
So good. Yes, yes, absolutely. I think we both feel so passionate about that. And you mentioned community, and it's so powerful who you surround yourself with.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to ask you another question that's here on your website.
What you got?
You know what it is because you put it there. So this sounds all really wonderful. Yes, we are women. Yes, we have gifts. Yes, I'll put myself first. But there's a little voice in the back of almost everybody's head. But what if I give my best and it's still not good enough? What if I am not good enough? What if I don't belong? That's a fear that will keep people paralyzed. I know you must have felt that because you can't put that out there in the world if you didn't address this in your own life.
Oh yeah. Yep, I absolutely. Everything that's on there is something I've experienced. Yes, I now know that if you look out into the world hard enough to find the reasons that it won't work, or if you keep looking for the reasons that you don't fit in, or you look for the reasons that you don't belong, or the reasons that you can't do it, you'll find them every time. But if you start looking for the reasons that you can do it, and things that you have done before, and remembering the times that you did succeed, and then actually taking inspired action, shutting out the outside noise and just having your behavior come from within, little by little, that doubt starts to go away. And that doesn't mean it doesn't still creep in, because it does. It creeps back up. I acknowledge it. I say, you almost got me that time. You almost got me. But I always question it. I'm so aware of my thoughts that are coming in and out of my mind, because I know they are shaping my reality.
Karen, that is fantastic. You just gave the language that we can use with our own self. You just showed, you recognize the trigger. You recognize the disempowering thought. You caught it and you go, you almost got me. That is the most beautiful, gentle way of self-correcting instead of beating ourselves up.
Yeah. Yeah. I've done the beating up route too. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. It won't ever serve you. I've done the playing small, the canceling an event because I'm not worthy of even being there. So I'm just going to cancel. And I've done all that. It doesn't work. You got to keep showing up for yourself. And it doesn't mean the doubt won't creep in sometimes.
Absolutely. I know I was born with the belief that I was not good enough. I know that I was born with it in my DNA. And I have learned that because I was the product of an unplanned teenage pregnancy and the shame and guilt that my mother had during my time in her womb, that those chemicals went right into my cells. And so I came into this world with this belief that I was not good enough, that I did not belong, that I needed to earn my right to exist. These were not things that I was ever consciously told. And so part of my own unlearning my crap was to understand that those thoughts, those feelings, those beliefs, those things that were taking me out were chemically implanted because of societal expectations that were put on my mother. And when I went back through that whole history, I realized that her mother had been abandoned while she was pregnant with my mother. She was in her 30s. She was married. She conceived my mother, but her husband left her for another woman while she was pregnant. And she had to give birth in the shame of what they called the unwed mother's hospital. Like, it was a very shameful place. She couldn't go to the regular hospital, even though she was a married woman. And so all of this generation of ancestral things brought me into this world with these beliefs. And that's how deeply entrenched they can become. So this is a terrifying thing when people are so afraid. But if you really knew me, because we believe it so badly, because it's chemically DNA ancestrally implanted generation after generation.
Wow, that's profound. Chemically implanted. So true.
Shame creates emotions, which emotions are chemical creations within our physical body. Shame is the lowest vibrating emotion that we can possibly experience. And we've been taught to not look at that part of ourselves, pretend it doesn't exist, suppress, don't look at it. One of my favorite movies is The Wizard of Oz. And that scene where the curtain is drawn back and he is saying in there, ignore the man behind the curtain. I think that's what we've been taught about every fear that we have about ourselves. Don't look. Don't see it. Pretend it's not there. And just soldier on.
Soldier on.
So you help women get past this.
Yes.
And you can't do that until you've done the work yourself.
Yes, I'll always be in the work. I will never be without a mentor or a coach, so somebody that I'm somewhat working with to be accountable and always growing, make sure I'm seeing all that I need to be seeing.
Thank you for telling us that. Because so many times people would look at you and say, well, you got all your crap all put together. That's why you're serving now. But you understand the fragility of the human psyche and the human experience, that we have to, just like we need to eat every day and we need to drink water every day. We need to feed our own souls every day.
Yes, we do. Yep, the work is never done. I feel like I'm always growing, and little things creep up that have the potential to chip away at that. But that's the beauty of the work. You experience and you move forward. You experience things, you learn from them, and you move forward.
And there is no self-judgment that you are failing because you always have these mentors and coaches. You never say, oh, if only I had it done, then I wouldn't need this help. You don't go there.
Nope, I don't. And they would never let me go there for long. I can talk about things. This is what I've been struggling with. And oof, but they don't let me stay there very long. Not at all. It's fun. Work through it. You can experience some feelings, negative things, kind of move through it, and then somehow find the gem in it, find what you learned from it, find what good came out of it, and not stay in it too long.
So Karen, what do you say to those people who are addicted to the dopamine hit that they get with feeling sorry for themselves, with
Oh,
feeling like a victim about, but you don't understand.
that's such an important thing to acknowledge. I'm so glad you asked that, because it's true. Some people, drama and chaos and victimhood is their comfort zone. That's like their safety. That's what they're used to. So for some people, that has become their place of comfort. And even though it doesn't serve them in any way, shape, or form, it feels good because it's what they know and it's what they're used to. But it's a matter of really recognizing how it's holding you back. And even though it feels comfortable, it's comfortable just because it's safe. And sometimes it's scary to change.
I think it's always scary to change.
Yes,
I
you're
think
right.
our brains, our brains are wired to keep us safe and alive, but we were
Hmm.
born to thrive, not just survive. And so we're
Hmm.
constantly fighting our natural desire of our brain to keep us, just do you know? Well, you do. You're a nurse practitioner. This just popped into my head, so I feel like I need
Hmm.
to share it. When we are dying, our body shuts down all non-essential. It'll shut down our limbs. It'll start to protect the core. And I think that's what our brain is doing, is that all of those extra things that are not necessary for just existing, happiness,
Hmm.
satisfaction, joy, accomplishment, peace, prosperity, those things can be sacrificed when our brains and our body feels we're in danger and our natural central nervous system is kicked on and we are put into those stressful places. We hunker down and we go into that safety.
It's fascinating.
Do you agree with that?
I,
Does that?
I do. Yes, it's fascinating. Absolutely. Yes. The body is remarkable and the brain is remarkable. And yeah, the human body and the brain in particular will do anything to protect us and keep us safe. And on the flip side of that, the brain being so amazing and all the neural pathways, you can actually change the pathways in your brain and teach it new ways of thinking and being that become your new ways of thinking and being, and that becomes your default through with neuroplasticity. So there is a science to all this as well. It's just
Oh,
fascinating.
thank you so much for addressing that. Coming from a medical professional like you, that we can change our set point so that as we level up
Mhm.
to the next level, that becomes our new support.
Mhm.
And that when we fall below that, we're no longer comfortable and we will rise back up to that new level.
Yes. Yep. Absolutely. I love that analogy too, like a thermostat. Your new set point. No matter what happens, you may teeter back a little, but you'll come right back to your new set
Yeah,
point. Hmm.
yeah. One of the things I do is I trade in the stock market. And so when you learn about charts and patterns and things like that, technical analysis, they talk about support and resistance. And so that was the vision that was coming to my head, is that when you break through that next level, that level now becomes your support. And as you're hitting your next set point, you're going to feel that resistance, and it's going to try to push you back down. But as long as you maintain that new level of support and don't allow yourself to break down, and even if you do temporarily break down, you're going to come back to your next set point. And so that, to me, is the beauty of what you are doing for your clients. Karen, people are listening to you and they're identifying. You've gone through so much. The death of your husband, your partner, struggling with alcohol and disempowering lives, having your whole world turned upside down. And you've come out of this a stronger, better person who is now able to serve. For those people who are listening and they're identifying with you, how do they reach out? How do they connect with you?
Oh, gosh. So probably the best way you can reach out to, I have my website, karensarmento.com, or on Facebook Messenger. You can reach out to me personally. I love to hear from people. And so that people know, women, you know that you're not alone. We've all been there. We're going through stuff. If we could go through it together, oh my God, the difference we can make.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much for your courage and being vulnerable and sharing. Thank you so much for allowing me, and I will tell everyone who is watching this that you and I had a conversation ahead of time, that you said yes, you were willing to go to these places, and that you were willing to use your experience as a guiding light for others. And so I want to thank you for your vulnerability.
Oh, you're so welcome. And thank you for having me here. This is an amazing opportunity, and just the work you're doing is amazing.
Well, we all have a purpose, and we all have a mission and a vision and a reason for being. And when we find, which usually comes from a place of hardship or a pivotal moment or something happens, it's not always, no, actually, I'm just going to say it. It's always meant for our best good, no matter what comes out of it. Thank you, Karen. I will be sharing how to connect with you in the show notes. I look forward to continuing our friendship, and I thank you for serving from your beautiful heart.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you so much, Kathy. I adore you.
This has been Unlearn the Crap TV with your host, Kathy Baldwin. Tune in each week as Kathy challenges you to rethink everything you know about personal empowerment and societal structures. Thursdays, 4 p.m. Eastern on the Bold Brave TV network.